Well, welcome back. 2005 Chevy Suburban. Going to do upper control arms, front upper control arms on this. I just did inner and outer tie rod ends on this not too long ago, and I was going to go on a trip, and I wanted to get alignment done. I had looked at the upper control arms before and wanted to get them done and couldn't. Just didn't have time. And when I went to take it to get an alignment done, I couldn't get it done because they couldn't get the camber back in spec. Probably because of the upper control arms, and they're pretty worn. And so we're going to replace the upper control arms in this. Let me show you how to do that. The control arms that we're going to replace give us a couple extra degrees of adjustment for camber, which is a problem sometimes in these series of trucks. So that should help us as well. Maybe we'll go through and I'll show the alignment. I don't know. I don't do that myself. I don't have the equipment for it, but maybe we'll do that. But we're going to replace these upper control arms. What you'll need for this basically are a 22 millimeter, get the wheel off, lug nuts, 21 millimeter wrench, 21 millimeter socket, torque wrench, 18 millimeter wrench, 10 millimeter socket, 13 millimeter socket, and a big hammer to get it apart. So that's about all you need for this. Not a lot of tools, but I'll show you a couple tricks that for these control arms. They get stuck sometimes. They're hard to get the bolts out of them because of the corrosion, and I'll show you how I get them apart, and hopefully it'll go well. Got this truck up on a jack stand, jacked it up, got the wheel off of it, and I have a floor jack keeping pressure underneath this lower control arm under the steering knuckle. So on these, hopefully you can see this. I don't know how well there's a little nub. That's your camber adjustment mark here. You see it sticking out right there on either side of each mount for the upper control arm. You want to mark where this is in relation to this plate on both sides, all four of them, two on each side. So you can use a Sharpie, a permanent marker, or oil-based marker. I have an oil-based marker, so I'm going to mark that where they are. So when I go to put it back, I get them real close to where they were. You do have to get an alignment done. You can't mess around with this stuff. You got to get an alignment done after doing this, but this will get you close. 10 millimeter over here, 10 millimeter here. Alright, so just take this bracket off here. I'm going to try to get it up out of the way a little bit here. Now, you can take the caliper and the rotor off. I will if I have to. I think I can get at this without having to do that. I don't really want to cause problems. I don't particularly like these slide bolts and these calipers. They're Torx head in there, or they can be a bear to get undone. They have a tendency to strip out. I'm going to leave them alone for now. And when I get replacements, and I did have to take this off on the other side, I had to get a replacement, and I got ones that were not Torx. They were regular bolt head. They're a little easier. It actually took me about 10 minutes with an impact gun on one of the slide bolts in the side. I finally got it, but it was not cooperating at all. Come apart, but that's how it goes. That's what corrosion and rust do. Let me clip this thing here. It's fighting me. Come on. Really? Well, there we go. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of try to move this up out of the way if I can. I'd rather not hit it. Try to keep it up a little bit here. I'm going to reach in here, behind here, on this nut. This one does not have a cotter pin. I know the replacement does. 18 millimeter. I'm going to break this loose. I hope pretty easily. Should be. It's not. They're not that tight. Like I said, 37 foot-pounds. You got to watch these because they like to spin as well. It does have, I think, an Allen key that you can put in the end of it here if you need to. Hopefully I won't have to do that, so I'm just going to break it loose here. So as I said, take it all the way off and then put it back on just a couple threads. Just to hold it in place. That's all you need. Now, You can try a smaller hammer with this one, but what I found on these primarily, excuse me, most of the time, is bigger hammer helps. So I'm going to try to do this without hitting my brake line here, which would be really good if I didn't hit it. And the camera. Hit what it goes through. There you go, not the nut, hit what it goes through. Not the nut, it's not the nut, not the stud. So, not too bad. Came right undone. So now, I'm going to try to push it back down a little bit. So that nut's not bound up on me, and I should be able to just spin that off now. Yeah, without it trying to spin the whole thing. Alright, got my lines undone. This is just supporting it. It's not really pushing up. Now these, I'm just telling you, they're a pain. See if I can break this loose all the way here. There we go. That's what it wants to do. It's going to want to tip like that. It's okay. Just leave it. It'll roll a little bit, but you can fix it after you're done. Make sure your lines are, your brake line's free, your ABS line's free. It's not in the way. There's a 13 millimeter bolt right here that holds this brake line. I'm going to undo that because this bolt head, when the head's towards the middle, it's going to hit that bracket if you don't do that. So you want to get that out of the way. Alright, I'll just set that aside for now. So now my bracket's loose and I have some flexibility to move that around and get it out of the way. So as I said, 21 millimeter nut, 21 millimeter head on this, both of them. Let me see if I can move this and get this in a better spot for you. Maybe you'll see a little more when I'm doing this. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, so I am going to put the wrench on the inside and try to get a socket on the outside. You need a kind of a mid-depth socket for this. Hopefully I can get this one there. If not, I have to switch ratchets, but I think I can on the front here, not a problem. It's the back when it gets a little difficult. Come on. Barely, but I can get it on there. Alright. So this will not, this really won't move. It's the way it's designed. I'm gonna have to put a breaker bar on this. It's pretty tight. They are pretty tight. I don't think my small gun will do me any good there. I don't think it's gonna have enough power. So I'm just gonna put a breaker bar on it. And we'll do it that way. I'm probably blocking everything in the camera. I probably got my hand right in the way. Hopefully not. Hopefully you can see this. So it's moving the head it wants to. So I'm going to let that go down right against the arm and use the arm to help me hold that. These are tight. There's no other way around it. They get corroded and they are just tight. Let's try that again. And of course I can't get in. It's not really at an angle. It's always at a bad angle. Always. But it's going slowly. You can see it's tight. Moving the arm here. Look at that. Broke it right off. Beautiful. It's a good start. That's been my mode of operation on the last couple jobs. First bolt, broke it right off. Thing of beauty. Alright, so we'll go try the back now. See if we can do that. See if we can do a little better than that. Whew. Tore it up. Not real happy about that, but you have a little better luck on the back. Looks like I gotta get a new bolt. That's a special bolt too. I'll show you if I get the other one out. Hopefully I will. I'll show you how that works. Man, that broke right off. thing of beauty. Well, that's how it goes. Now this one, barely had to touch it, comes right out. Which is good, because I guess it's really good. This is the one I had the most problem with on the other side as well. The front one seems to be the one that causes a lot of grief, and we're still going to work on that because that's rusted. I'm sure it's corroded to the inside metal bushing that runs through this mount. That's what happens. They get corroded right to it, and that's guaranteed that's what happened there. Although the nut must have been corroded really bad because it just, well, you can see it snapped it right off. Didn't move at all. Beautiful. Well, guess I'll be getting one of them. Let me get that off of there. Now I could probably get my gun on there and get it off. There we go. Thing of beauty. Now, see if I can get you a little more light on this and see what's going on. I'll put this out of the way. I've got to drive these through these bushings here, and I'll give you a little close up here with some light. I'm going to try to drive this in, but these have a tendency to hang up, so I'll show you what I do first. You can see there's a flat side on this bolt. Hopefully you can see that. Right on the facing, almost facing straight out, facing a little bit down. It's flat, it's keyed. That's how they set the camber in these. It's the mechanism for setting it. So let me get you back where you can see. And let's see if we can get this apart. So what I tend to do here is I try to push up this arm as much as I can. And it's just locked in to this, and what I'll usually do is rest this wrench and try to rest it on the end of something on the suspension and use it kind of as a lever to push down on it. And you're rotating the bushing but holding that bolt still, and it helps to break that corrosion up. It's a pain. The other side was really, really hard. I spent probably 40 minutes on one of them, the front one, trying to get it loose. I finally did. This one just broke off on me, so I don't have to really worry about that. I just got to worry about getting it out of there. But I just do that, get a little bit of play in them as much as I can. This one looks like it's probably going to come out. Let me get a punch, get a smaller hammer, and just drive this, see if I can drive this through. Now, these adjusters, so you see my mark, and you can see on here how it's keyed. It's flat on that one side. It fits in there. So put them back where you got them. So lay them out. Make sure you lay the front one to the front. You know, don't mix them up. You get all messed up if you do that. I'm hoping it comes out pretty easy. Not too much problem. Yeah, it's actually moving pretty well so far. So the other side was absolutely terrible. Did not want to come out. This one, at least the front one's coming out pretty well. So you can see if I don't move this bracket, it's right in the way. So, can't believe that broke right off. That kind of sucks. So I really wanted to get this done today. Although the auto parts store is still open. I don't know if they're going to have this. So, there's a good shot of that bolt. Flat on one side. Fits into the adjuster. It's corroded pretty badly. It's hanging up on me, but I'll clean it up on the wire wheel. We'll do that later. We'll just sit that down. Front's done. Now the back, maybe I'll get lucky. I say that and I just probably jinxed myself. Yeah. See, this one doesn't want to move at all. Whacking on it, it just does not want to move. This is the problem I have with the other side with the front one. It's seized up in that bushing. So I've been working this arm 10 minutes probably, back and forth. So now I've got it where I can rotate it up and rotate it down pretty well. And as I did that, took my wrench, held the bolt head, and let it rest against the top of the steering knuckle. as I push down, it holds it, and then it breaks it loose from the bushing, from the corrosion inside the bushing. I can move it, hold the bolt head. So now it took me about 10 minutes to get to that point, but now I've got the bolt where I've been able to get it loose and it's starting to move. I'll show you. If you look back in there, so I can make you sick at the same time, motion sickness. So you can see it's coming out now. That's what I want. So now I'm going to take this nut off, finish driving it, take a punch, drive it through there, wiggle the arm as I do that, should be able to get it apart. Not too bad, all things considered. Could be a lot worse. I'm hanging my adjuster up here. I can't turn a little bit here. All right. So, you guys see how the corrosion is just hanging it up. So, I got to get a new bolt for the front. I think it's a kit, so I'll probably end up getting both of these. If not, I'll reuse that. It's not too bad. Now you have them out. Carefully, you just wiggle this arm right out of there. Watch your sensor, brake sensor out of the way. That's it. Yeah, upper bolt joint's pretty slack. And these are shot. Not as bad as the other side. The other side kind of just fell apart. As soon as the metal kind of fell apart from it. These are a little better, but they're still pretty beat up, so no big deal. There you go. Did the same thing. Not much left. Okay. Let's get the new arm, set it in place here, and I've got to get the bolt kit for this because I broke one. I don't know if I can get it tonight or not. I'm going to see if I can. If I can't, I'll finish it tomorrow. Alright, so there's your part number. Hopefully you can read that. RK80826. Moog. Like Moog stuff in general. It's good stuff. Like I said, this is an offset bushing in it, and gives you a couple more degrees of adjustment for camber, which is kind of nice. Made in China, of course. Alright, just stick this arm back in place for the time being until we get our bolts. Minor adjustment, that's all. Alright, set that in place for now. Go see if we can get bolts from this. Now that I can pull it back out of there. And we'll put it back together. Alright, so about a second later, well, maybe for you, about an hour later, I was able to go down, look online, go to petboys.com, look at my local store. They had it, so I went down and got it. K1026, another Moog. This is the Camber bolt kit for it. So I'm going to line this up using this hole with the bolt. Get my alignment here through both pieces. Get it lined up. And transfer my mark. I'm having a hard time because the old is crusty, the old one. Alright, so I've got them lined up here. I've got my mark. I'm going to transfer that mark to my new cam. Fortunately, I have a Sharpie with me, so I'm just going to make my mark here. Transfer my mark across. And do that for each one of them. Anti-seize. Okay, not quite as good as brake cleaner, only because regardless what you do, it gets over everything. It just gets all over everything. Can't keep it, but it is pretty good stuff. I am gonna anti-seize the bolt before I put them in here because it's just a good idea. Try to keep the corrosion out of them. And the bolt. started here. I'll have a light on here so you can see. There we go. Oh, that's better. Get my arm in where I can actually get my bolt in place. There we go. Bracket out of the way. There we go. Line it up. There we go. Now the cam on. Get that lined up. Got my marks, I can see them. Now, don't neglect a little bit on here too. Just don't. Get this started. We're not going to tighten these yet, but we're going to get them started. There's a go, there's still no rust on them. These things, you get 3 days on them and they have rust. Alright, looks pretty good. Long threads. Get some there. Don't be stingy. My rear cam. That lined up. Same deal here. Just gonna get them close. But we've got to load the suspension before we tighten these bushings up. So we're going to do the outer ball joint. We'll tighten that up with these close. And we'll use this jack to load the suspension. And then we'll tighten the bushings. So on the bottom of this, there's an Allen key there. If you need to, you probably just have enough room that you can put an Allen key in there, hold it in case it wants to spin on you. Hopefully it won't. We'll find out in a minute. Okay. So make sure your lines are where they should be. They got to be to the outside and in front of this knuckle, or you're going to have a problem. I'm going to see if I can let this jack down a little bit and move my steering knuckle. Get my lines. Don't jam my lines. Now, get started enough. Yeah, it went through it pretty easy actually. This one is particularly, this is a nylon lock nut, so it doesn't have a cotter pin. Get it started here. Yeah, I know you can't see it. Just putting the nut on a bolt. It's nothing exciting. Yeah, and we're going by feel on this one. Because there's no way to get torque wrench without breaking that CV axle loose, and I'm not doing that. Torque to spec. All right. Do not forget your Zerk fitting. Okay. A couple 10 millimeters here. At least one. Good. I'm going to load the suspension now. Look at that. Put some pressure on the suspension. We want to get it back to it so it's loaded, and then we're going to torque these. You use the bolt head to get your mark lined up with your nub here, and then you hold that and torque the other side to 140 foot-pounds. That's what we're going to do, but before you do that, you want this at ride height, which means I'm going to pick it up so it just comes off of that jack stand and holds the pressure. The car is compressed. The suspension's at ride height. Goes. You can just start to hear it there. It just came off of the stand, so now it's where it would be. It's ride height, basically. It's compressed, so torque these down now. I know you can't even see any of this, but all I'm doing is lining my marks up as best I can. And they're not exactly lined up very good. Like I said, I think the other ones are pretty worn. So when I mark them, take them off, they're out. So that's okay though. It's pretty close. Still pretty close though. Same deal. Tighten this side up. Once again, hold the bolt head and tighten the nut. Alright, 140. Same for the back here. Got to grease this fitting. Grease this ball joint. But I'm on my marks as close as I can get them. Let's go in the alignment shop to get that done, and we're good to go. That's pretty much it. It's not a really hard job. The hardest part is what's always the hardest, right? Corrosion, rust. Just broke that first bolt, snapped the head right off, or snapped the nut right off of it, just seized up. Fortunately, it came right out. The other side, got the nut off, but then it was corroded inside that bushing, inside that metal shell. Took me 10 or 15 minutes of working it back and forth and beating on it. I got it out of there. Put the new kit in. Upper ball joint. Really, hour to hour and a half per side. If it doesn't go too badly, if things come apart, half an hour, 40 minutes a side, not too bad. I hope it helps you out if you need to do this job. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.